Menorrhagia. It is a very common problem, especially the middle-aged women, 35, 40 years of women. One major cause of women to go to the hospitals for this problem. Menorrhagia is actually when the amount of blood flow is more than normal. So this is menorrhagia. It is a very common problem in middle-aged women, and the cause heavy periods. We call it heavy periods in simple words. Causes of this menorrhagia may be like bleeding disorders. Sometimes there's a deficiency of a clotting factor in the blood, which may lead to menorrhagia. So there's no problem in the female reproductive organs, nothing, but she has a tendency to bleed because of some deficiency of clotting profile, coagulating factors in the blood. Sometimes there's this uterine pathology, there's some problem in the womb, which may lead to menorrhagia, the heavy periods, that she may have some fibroids. You must have heard of Rissoli's in the uterus, which are benign growth in the uterus, but they female can have heavy bleeding with it. Sometimes there may be a cancer, sometimes there may be a small growth that is also non-malignant polyp, we call it small polyp. And these are the uterine pathologies. Sometimes she may have infection in the womb, which may lead to heavy periods. And sometimes these menorrhagia is also due to the hormones. There's a hormonal imbalance, and which may lead to heavy irregular periods. Dysfunctional uterine bleeding is again irregular bleeding, no cyclic pattern, and she bleeds, but this is dysfunctional and should be treated with medicines, and this is also very common in this age group, 35-40. Dysmenorrhea. Dysmenorrhea is painful menstruation. Little bit pain is expected before the onset of menstruation, but if the pain is so much that she is like totally bedridden, she's missing her schools, and she's missing from her work. So this type of dysmenorrhea, painful menstruation, should be like investigated, and she should go to a doctor if to see if there's any problem. Dysmenorrhea can be due to infections in the reproductive organs. It can be due to like a condition, we call it endometriosis. The endometriosis is basically a condition where some of the menstrual blood, instead of coming out of the uterine womb, it goes back through the fallopian tubes and collect near the ovaries or within the ovaries and makes cysts. That is called endometriosis. It is a painful condition, and it also damages the ovarian reserves. It also damages the tubes. So if there's a condition called endometriosis, it should be investigated and treated on time, because if it damages the tubes and if it damages the ovaries reserves of ovaries, eggs, so it will lead to it can lead to infertility. If the tubes get blocked, if the ovaries are they have reduced number of eggs, so it can reduce the fertility of a female. So in such conditions, endometriosis should be like treated as soon as it is diagnosed. Then premenstrual syndrome. Premenstrual syndrome is a group of symptoms that occur before the menstruation begin. The symptoms can be, it's called PMS. existence of a distinct symptom cluster in the premenstrual phase, and incidence is 10%. In 10% of women, the symptoms are so severe that they are totally incapacitated. They cannot perform their normal routine work, whether they are on job, they are or housewives, or they are students. So their symptoms are so severe. In 20% of women, they are totally unaware of their menstruation, and the rest 70% disturbances, she may have psychological and some physiological disturbances before she starts her menstrual cycle. The psychological disturbances that occur before the menstruation are anxiety. This is all because of the low hormones. There's no estrogen, there's no progesterone. She's like deficient of estrogen. As I said, estrogen is a happy hormone, and when she has high estrogen, she's happy. When there's low estrogen, she can have these psychological disturbances. She may be very anxious, depressed, irritable, lethargy, lack of concentration, prone to accidents. Because of lack of concentration, she's prone to accidents. This is a no-nonsense mood, I think. I think every man around her, like especially her husband, should know when she's going to start her period, because a woman, when she's like whole of the month, she's okay, she's good, she's happy, but just before a menstruation, she's like irritable, depressed. So I think her husband should know when she's starting her period, so that at that time he's supportive, and she should understand that this is because of these hormones that she's going through this. He can manage with it. Then the somatic disturbances that occur with this is the peripheral edema. Peripheral edema is basically retention of fluid in the body. So peripheral edema is when there's this collection of fluid in the hands, feet, and this is peripheral edema. The symptoms that occur during the premenstrual phase, these physiological changes that take place are usually due to this fluid retention in the body. So there's a feeling of bloatedness. There's like just puffy feeling, abdomen seems to be like a bloated feeling in the abdomen, and the rings get tight because there's a edema in the fingers, and the breasts become tender, same because of this fluid retention. Headaches are again due to this edema, because there is fluid collection in the between the membranes of the brain, and which may lead to symptoms like migraine. So these headaches may be associated with nausea as well. Due to this fluid retention, again she will gain some weight and abdominal discomfort. There may be diarrhea. She may get constipated. So nausea, vomiting. So these are the severe symptoms. Sometimes you don't need anything, and when the periods starts, she will get better automatically. But sometimes these symptoms are so severe that she needs to do something about it. The etiology is poorly understood, but it is like most probably due to the low hormones, progesterone withdrawal. No pregnancy, the progesterone, the corpus luteum will shrink, and there will be no more progesterone, and due to this lack of progesterone, she will have these symptoms. Management is simply lifestyle modification, relaxation, stress management, exercises will, like when she'll exercise, this extra fluid in body will go away. She should take well-balanced diet. Salt intake should be restricted, because more salt, she will gain more fluid will be retained in her body. And then this lifestyle modification is like, if she knows she's going to have these symptoms before a period, she should plan her work. She should the things that make her stressful, she should avoid those things during this time, and finish off the works, the one she's expecting in those days. So this is all just lifestyle modifications. She can help herself. These symptoms only occur when she produces eggs. If there is no egg production, in that cycle, she will have little premenstrual symptoms. So the first management is the COCP, which is contraceptive pill, oral contraceptive pill, If she has severe symptoms, she can be on contraceptive pill, so no egg production, no ovulation, and no such symptoms. She can take painkillers, she can take diuretics. Diuretics are medicines which helps in this relieving this fluid retention, will produce more urine and she'll be better. Antidepressants, then anxiolytics, anti-anxiety drugs, and surgery only for intractable cases, symptoms. जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा symptoms ऐसे हों कि बिल्कुल बर्दाश्त ना हो, वहाँ पे surgery की जाती है, but it is like never done, I think. Nobody does them. अच्छा, menopause. So menopause, the empty nest syndrome, we call it the empty nest syndrome because it occurs around 50, 55 years of age, average age of menopause. The last menstrual blood is like 50 years, but it can be as early as 45 years, can be late as 55 years, and this is the time when the children have gone, the girls got married, the boys have gone to their jobs, and the woman is alone. So we also call it the empty nest syndrome, and the symptoms associated with it. This is the complete cessation of menstrual cycle. Menopause actually takes about 4 to 5 years. Actually, the perimenopausal symptoms starts before the actual menopause, and these symptoms are the cycles, menstrual cycles become irregular, and sometimes they are like 2 to 3 months. Sometimes they become shorter, sometimes they become heavier. But the actual menopause is when she has no periods for 1 year at least. Then we call it she has actually got her menopause. Average age is 50 years. What brings about this menopause is that, as I said, that every woman is born with her total reserves of eggs. So as she is growing older, she is losing about 100, 200 eggs every month. So by the time she's 50, she's only left with about maybe 200 eggs or so. And these eggs are very resistant to the hormones. What happens when she has no eggs? The brain is passing a message, gonadotrophic releasing hormone is coming. It is acting on the pituitary gland to produce the follicle stimulating hormone, and this follicle stimulating hormone is acting on the ovary to make the eggs. When there are no eggs in the ovary, this follicle stimulating hormone will not be able to make eggs. But brain doesn't know that there are no eggs in the ovaries. It will start producing more and more FSH. The level of normal FSH in a menstruating girl, in a fertile woman, and like 12 to 13 years of age, and like 50 years till 50 years, the normal FSH is from 3 to 10, blood level 3 to 10. But when the menopause occurs, there are no eggs in the ovaries. The brain doesn't know there's no egg. So he will keep on producing FSH, but there is no eggs. There are no eggs. This FSH level rises in the blood, and the FSH and LH levels rises in the blood. There are no eggs, there's no estrogen, so the levels of estrogen are low in the blood, and the FSH and high, they're like FSH maybe 50s, 100s, 90s, and same for LH, and there increased androgen. Androgen are the male hormones, and testosterone. The females also produce little bit, the ovaries also produce little bit hormone and male hormones. So at the time of menopause, the androgen level rises, there's high FSH and LH levels, and the estrogen are low. As I said, estrogen is the cash of a woman. When there's reduced estrogen level in the blood, she's going to have symptoms at the time of menopause, same anxiety, depression. Physiological symptoms she will have are the hot flashes. It's actually flashes, FLA. The hot flashes, it's like a burning sensation and a hot, warm, burning, sweating of face and especially the chest, and she may start experiencing these symptoms at the time of menopause, like maybe 4 or 5 times a day. Sometimes she may wake up in the middle of the night during winters and just apni razai utar ke, and she says, I'm feeling hot. So these are hot flashes. Her face may become very warm and red. So this is the sign of menopause. Then the psychological disturbances. Same, she may become very anxious, lonely, low self-esteem, worthlessness, and she may become very depressed, crying, and the other changes that take place are the trophic changes in skin. This estrogen hormone it keeps the skin like the baby skin. It becomes soft skin, thin skin, and the skin at the menopause, it becomes dry due to lack of estrogen, and the mucous membranes in the entire reproductive system, they become also dry. There's less, they are not very soft, and they are not they become dry. So these are all due to lack of hormones at the time of the late complications of menopause are osteoporosis, is deterioration of bone quality and quantity. This calcium metabolism is very important, and these hormones help in the calcium deposition in the bones. So when these hormones are deficient, the bones can become brittle, they become very delicate, and there's a high risk of fractures. In this age group, usually the females, they fall off not because the bone broke due to falling, but because actually the bone broke first before she fell. So this is very important. This is the late complication of menopause, osteoporosis. And second is there's a high risk of cardiovascular disease. Before menopause, the chances of heart attack in a female are less than a man. But after menopause, her risk of cardiovascular disease increases 2 to 3 times higher. So these are the late complications. Management, menopausal syndrome. Management is first of all, in simple symptoms like anxiety, depression, is just the reassurance and family support by the husband, by the children. Just reassurance and family support is needed. Then hormone replacement therapy, the estrogen which is deficient, if she has severe symptoms, should be replaced, and these are pills given for everyday pill, and it replaces the hormone so she feels better. Then early detection and timely treatment of osteoporosis. The incidence of infertility, first of all, the definition is failure to achieve pregnancy after living together for a year, and like having regular intercourse, and she's not conceiving, then we call it infertility. She is like infertile. Incidence is 10 to 15% of couples are having this problem. Causes of infertility, lots of misconceptions. The causes of the percentage of the factors causing infertility in female factors, 30%, male factor, very common, 30%. Subfertility of both partners, in 30% of patients there is problem on both sides, and 10% of couples, they don't have any problem, but still they are not able to conceive. The female factors which may cause infertility is pathology of the genital tract, when there's some problem in the womb, like there's some growth in the womb, there is some like obstruction, there are some fibroids or something like that in the womb. Then the tubes, which is a very common cause of infertility, when the tubes gets blocked, the most common cause, the most common infection which leads to the tubal blockage is tuberculosis in our country, and once the tube gets blocked, there's the surgery that is done for to reopen the tubes is very sensitive. It has a very, very low success rate, because the tubes, even if they get opened, they are usually not functional, because the function of tube is very important. The tube is a hollow structure, but it has small hair-like hairs in the walls, and these hair, they move the eggs and the sperms and the embryos. If these hairs are lost with the infection, so even if the tubes are open, they will not work. So the if the tubes are blocked, then it may lead to infertility. Then the ovaries, if the number of eggs are less, and sometimes polycystic ovaries, there are endometriosis. So these are the conditions which may lead to infertility in a female. And some hormonal disturbances, as this polycystic ovary, it is a hormonal disturbance. When the levels of hormones are disturbed, she may not conceive. Psychological and social factors, increasing day by day, lot of stress, in the family and at the workplace. So these are the factors, psychological and social factors, and it is like more common in the working class, these social factors. Then the male factors, same psychological and social factors, very stressful lifestyle, little time to give to the female. So these may lead to infertility, but the most common is the poor semen parameters. What I have experienced, I have been working there for the last 16 years, and I have seen that the male factor is like in our patients. I have seen we have patients from different parts of the country, and from Afghanistan as well. So we have seen this male factor is very common. I would say like it is like 50% of cases we have poor semen parameters, starting from no sperms, very low count of sperms, and poor quality sperms, weak sperms, abnormal sperms. So the poor semen parameters is a major cause of infertility in our country now. So it is very common, and I want everybody to be aware of this, because sometimes we can help them if they come early to us. And especially, I would say the female age is very important for the fertility treatment, because if like she's 50 years and she has lost all her eggs, we cannot do anything about her. So it is very important for the couples to come early for investigation so that we can help them. Like a male who is azoospermic, no sperms, even if like he's 70, he cannot reproduce. But if he comes to a fertility clinic, in a male, when there is no sperm, there is a technique, we call it per epididymal sperm aspiration. We go for the biopsy, we collect his sperms from his testicles, and then we use them for the fertilization of the eggs. We take out the eggs from the female. We call it the procedure is called test tube baby ICSI, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So in some conditions we can help. The management of the infertile couples are sometimes just the counseling will help. If nothing is wrong, there's no male factor, tubes are okay, there's no problem, we have to counsel the patient to avail the fertile time. And the fertile time is the ovulation. At the time of ovulation, the egg only survives for 24 hours. If it doesn't get the sperm in that 24 hours, she will not conceive. The whole month will be wasted. So only one egg is produced every month, and that one egg at the time of ovulation, after the ovulation, it only lasts for 24 hours. So that is the time, that is the best time. So in most of the patients, when they are only married for a year, 6 months, 2 years, counseling will help if we only guide them to avail the fertile time. And sometimes some investigation, very simple investigations, an ultrasound of the female to see there's no pathology in the uterus, ovaries, tubes, and in the males, a simple semen analysis will give lot of information. Then the assisted reproductive techniques. Other than counseling, which helps most of the patients, like 10% patients are left who actually need some assisted reproductive techniques. Assisted reproductive techniques are like sometimes we give simple medicine to make more eggs in a cycle. Simple tablets, because only one egg is produced, we give medicines to make more eggs so that her chances are better. Sometimes what we do is a second treatment is intrauterine insemination. There are certain conditions when like the husband is time bound, he's away, he's only coming for a month or so, and the female wants to conceive, time bound. So what we do is we prepare the female, we make more eggs by tablets or by injections, and when the eggs are ready, we prepare the semen sample in our lab, husband semen sample, and just put it into the uterus so that we just like approximating the time help her to assist her in conception. And sometimes there are problems when there is like they cannot have relation. This is very common, very, very common due to stressful life, males, females on both ends. This is very common, getting very common. And when such conditions are, when they cannot perform, male cannot perform, female has problems. So in that case, we can also do this, like we can prepare the sample and we put it into the uterus, and this is called intrauterine insemination, but it is only like it has success rate is not 10, it's not more than 10 to 12% because it is very close to trying naturally. So this was all about the infertility. I would like to say one thing, that why we are here to discuss all this today is to bring about the awareness of the phenomena of menstruation. I think every female herself should know about it, the hormones involved, the symptoms, and the management of different problems of menstrual cycle, and the people around her should also understand this, because she is going through a constant roller coaster of hormonal influences in her body. So it is very important, because I have seen problems like lots of quarrels between husband and wife if they don't understand that she's in her premenstrual phase, so she's very like irritable, so any argument should be avoided at that time. And one more condition I would like to discuss briefly. After the childbirth, again there's a lot of hormones at that time. A woman undergoes through a problem called postpartum depression. It is very common, but it is very poorly understood, or most of the time in villages they think that it is some evil spirits, there's some jinn or something, and it is all due to hormones. The symptoms may be like after the childbirth, she may become very depressed, crying, feeling of very low feeling of worthlessness, social boycott, and she may not get attached to her baby, which is again very embarrassing for her that she's not having any emotions for the baby, and she so these are the symptoms. We call it the baby blues. These are the very common simple symptoms which goes away in 2 to 3 weeks. But sometimes this condition may get worse, and she may undergo a condition called postpartum psychosis, which is a very serious condition, and she may need proper consultation and treatment.